Good afternoon. It is the Everton Daily Live. John and myself for a Tuesday afternoon. And the big story that broke. I mean, I say broke. I mean, this was heavily hinted at last week on our shows.
Only in the shadows.
Well, yeah, we do what we always do, is that we just go in a little bit, just a little bit. Wilfred Gnonto, Everton are trying to do the deal now. Again. They say never go back, but we're going back.
The last time we went back, it didn't turn out well, did it?
No, it didn't. Stan Juma, I think, would be the one.
This is slightly different.
It is slightly different because this is a player we wanted. This is a player I think who wanted to move.
Mm-hmm. Well, going on strike tended to.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's not my favourite. It's not my favourite thing. Not my favourite
players to do.
Yeah, I don't like that personally. I'm not a fan of it. We all know how it feels when a player goes on strike. Obviously, the last one for us was Anthony Gordon. I'm not a big fan of that. But he did go on strike. He did kick up a bit of a fuss to try and get a move.
Didn't sit in his car in a car park though.
No, he didn't. No. But to be fair to Leeds held firm. And
I think they did very well.
No issue with that whatsoever. No issue whatsoever.
Once the window's closed, you have to get back on.
Exactly. You have to start playing. You're a footballer. You've got a job. That's your job. They held firm. He stayed. He did. I think he had an okay season. He scored a couple of goals early on.
About 8 in the league.
I think he got 9 in total in 44. Okay. So obviously in all comps, 8 in 36. So
1 in 4.
Again, I can't speak to saying I watched them too much.
I didn't watch him at all.
Yeah, well, that's what I was sort of thinking. I didn't watch him at all. But he fits what we're trying to do, which is get a winger with a bit of pace. And basically, a lot of players we've been linked with have got those attributes.
Similar profiles, aren't they?
Yeah. Still only 20 as well.
Yeah, no, maybe some people will be surprised by that. So.
Yeah, 20-year-old.
It's all about the price, isn't it?
Well, it is, and the price is rumoured to be around 22 million with add-ons. That's what I've seen from the Leeds side of things. You know, the Leeds in the nose and all that kind of thing.
And go to the people closest to it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's always the best way. Whether it be a local journalist or whether it be their fans, it's always the best way. So, is this one that you'd like to finally see get done, John?
I wouldn't say finally get done. I think it's good, and I mean Baz talked about it yesterday about, it's been a good start to the coming back to football thing, hasn't it, where we're moving players out. We've still got the challenge of moving out the players that we don't want to be here, right, and protecting the ones we do, but we're also bringing some bodies in, and clearly the way I've been calling it is it's nice to see people being allowed to do their jobs, right? Which is, the recruitment guys and all that jazz have got a profile of players that the manager is comfortable with. Then they go off and find who fits that profile, and then presumably talk to them about what you think. And if it's a player who really wants to come here and you get the price right, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
A bit of a happy days thing. And that would be probably a price lower than we were prepared to pay last year.
Well, the price last year was the rumour to be closer to 30 million, right, wasn't it, that we were trying to get down. Yeah. Obviously, they've just been relegated. Now they're in the second season of the Championship. That's obviously allowed us to bring Jack Harrison back to the club. And, when you look at some of the situations that they look like they're facing, you can understand why they might want to get this sorted quite quickly. And obviously, it's a year less on his contract as well, so obviously that defines it. But for us, like you're saying there, we've already done a lot of the hard work, and I know Dan Juma never worked out, but it was sort of the same with that. We've done all the hard work. Players don't.
The club had been sold to him as a club, yeah, and then the transfer fee and the personal term stuff can almost be done by agents and football clubs, because the mindset of the player is, I'm happy to go there. Then that should accelerate the outcome, shouldn't it? So if he still wants to come and we've got the money and Leeds prepared to accept the money we've got, and presumably some terms around that about when they get the money and things, but yeah, he fits the profile. He's young, quick, tricky,
not 21 till November.
Will bring pace to the team, which is what we seriously lack, and it also gives he's got that that tax of Premier League experience. But yeah, I think I think it's a good call.
Yeah, I think he can play on the right hand side, which is exactly what we need.
Indeed,
he has got that pace. He's got ambition, as we've already seen. He's played for the Italy squad.
Full.
Yeah, he's played full. Obviously, never went to Euros, and that would have been a big part because he was playing in the Championship. But you could, having watched Italy playing in the Euros, you could see he could definitely add something to that team. He hasn't quite got that level of consistency yet, and not that many players do. I think we've been a bit spoilt recently with. Not Everton as such, but with the likes of Bellingham and
youngsters, you mean?
And Yamal, just a casual 16-year-old, just being the young player of the tournaments in the Euros. But we do forget that 20-year-olds don't have that level of consistency. They show flashes of it. So for me, I think we've done the hard work. It's just get it done now, and obviously I don't think it can be actually. From our side, probably be done till Onana leaves the club officially, and obviously we've got the money in the bank for that. But if this is the one they want, if that's the place they identified, I know there is an idea. I've seen a few things online where people are going, doesn't Thelwell have any other targets? But if he's done the hard work, what does a year extra make any real difference? If it's the player you really wanted, if it's the player you thought could make a difference, if there's still a position in our football club that needs filling, because it clearly does need filling, we all know that. I don't think many of us want to see Jack Harrison on one side, and Mac Messi on the other side. Too many times this season. Baz just said he does. He just gave me a wave and said, "I want to see it." That's all he wants. Oh no, sorry, what was that? Mac Maldini? You want to see? You want to see my left back? Fair play to you, Baz. Fair play.
All players.
Fair play. Baz is off on a secret mission. Can't say any more. But he's off on a secret mission, and he's taking Ned, so that's going to be incredible. Ned just stood up. He's so proud to be taken on the secret mission. Look at him.
Well, won't Ned just be the guy who distracts the watchtower with the machine guns, and then you can...
If that's how you're going to get into the stadium, then that's how you're going to get...
Acceptable losses.
If that's how you're going to get on that south stand, then fair play to you, boys.
France.
Fair play to you.
To rescue Kimmy.
That's a big thing you're taking with you, Ned.
Fair play.
Enjoy, guys.
They're off on a secret mission. We cannot say any more till tomorrow. No, I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's
good.
I think it's again trying to get things done early. We've already seen, obviously, when we've seen the pictures. The players are now in Ireland. They're training, and I watched the interview before with Sean Dyche, and he was saying how happy he is to have a couple of players in nice and early.
Makes a big difference.
Plus Jack Harrison, being in the first day of training, first week of training, now being on the first trip, getting that bonding sessions, and having the first game at the end of the week. And Evertonians will get to see those two new signings on Friday, and I think again that's good to have those players.
So 3 firsts on Friday then, 2 players and a kit.
You'd imagine so, wouldn't you?
The new kit must be getting used.
Well, you'd imagine. Can't say any more than no.
Of course, start with the away kit.
I don't think they will. People are talking about the new kit. I haven't said anything about the new kit. There's a big stadium down there. Could be that, Could they be going to see the new kit in the new stadium?
On the pitch.
Yeah. Getting
rumours that
it's getting dropped off out of a plane, a Spitfire.
I was coming out of Spitfire, isn't it? Rumours that Ned's going to be, wearing it. They're not true.
No.
Apparently the shorts were too tight.
He would be the perfect person to model it, though, wouldn't he?
11-year-old. He would be a 9-year-old shorts.
Yeah. He would be the perfect person, because considering he's always wearing bloody footy kits or footy shorts and sliders.
He thinks he's a footballer, doesn't he? Sliders and socks. Yeah.
If it keeps him happy, if it keeps him centred.
But back to footballers. I mean, clearly there's always going to be the what ifs of, well, okay, so we paid 20-odd million for this 20-year-old guy who we wanted it before, and we're getting him for less money, which is good. Why haven't we found a 10 million euro one or a 5 million euro one or whatever? And it's all about risk profiles, and if your plan was right before, it's still right now, isn't it? He hasn't become a worse player. He's probably become a better player slightly, a bit more experience and stuff like that.
I think now and again.
You see him as a starter?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Definitely see him as a starter, or certainly someone.
So who falls by the wayside because of it?
I I don't know. I mean, Jack Harrison, could play less time, but I do think that there needs to be more movement in those. If you've got, really, we should have 4 wide men, and really we should use a combination of them at different times. It's a long season. I don't think the idea, again, I think a lot of we as a fan base do get caught up in far too often what's your starting 11. I think other clubs have shown over the years, and other clubs 20 years ago stopped worrying about what your starting 11 was. Maybe now and again when you get to those really, really big games, you have a good hard think. But even that, sometimes you have to, well, not even sometimes, a lot of the time you have to look at it and think, what are we up against today? If we're up, if you've got a left back who loves to bombard up and down the pitch, that's it, their skill set, and you say, well, maybe today Jack Harrison has to go there. But if you're playing at home and you want to be on the front foot, then Gnonto's the man to go in there because he's got the pace, he gets people excited, and that's what gets you up the pitch ultimately, isn't it? I think you need combinations.
I think this is an important season, isn't it? Right? Because hopefully, and I think it's very probable, we won't have any points deductions this season. So we'll have a proper season without those distractions. Hopefully any ownership distractions are positive ones, because there is a change of ownership and the lift that might bring amongst the fans and players alike, I suppose, right? But it's a really important thing, because what was it? Sean's last season as manager, contractually, and he needs to go to the next level, which is give me better players and I'll play a better game. Yeah. And having, when you say we should have 4 wide players, if we end up with 4 wide players that he's had his hands on buying at least some of them, then he knows he can rotate. He can rotate for fitness reasons, for battle weariness reasons, for change of opposition reasons, all those things. And we will see the manager that doesn't stick to 11 all the time, which obviously means inevitably, and it's not always at the end of the season, but sometime in the season, the fatigue kicks in if you're always going to the well with the same players, and he's got to have confidence in those players that they're going to play the way he wants them to play. And it's a big investment in this player, because we haven't given up. Right? The recruitment team have done all the hard yards. They've done all the fit for purpose, all that sort of stuff. And it won't be long before Sean's the longest serving manager we've had for a while, will it? So, let's hope he gets a new contract, because that means the season's gone really well. And we're playing the kind of football fans can see emerging, which we want. Let's hope they do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think this one as well. This can't.
If the mean time between rumour and signing is as short as possible.
No, this can't be one that drags on. By the way, this has to be done quickly. This has to be Onana out the door and him in the door, or even better, get him in the door, because the other one's gone, and it's almost like we thank Amadou Onana, but we look at this shiny thing we've just signed and all that kind of thing, and it has to be quick, because fans.
For 20 million, right? If it's roughly that, he's of an age where he's going to be a 5-year term, isn't it? So the horrible PSR thing of what's the impact on that? 4 million a year. And he'll be earning less than whatever Onana was, therefore upside. So again, that gives headroom for the recruitment team to go again, be it January if needed be, later in this window, regardless of what happens to DCL or whatever. And that the balance in the books in a way that leaves us, which you should always be, shouldn't you, when you come out the window, stronger than you went into it. Wonder if those lights are going to flash on and off a lot.
It's better not. I've seen a few people in the comments mentioning Somerville from Leeds, but I think Somerville more typically plays on the left-hand side, cutting in on his right foot, if I remember rightly. We need someone.
That's the modern way.
No, but I'm saying we've already got 2 players who play on the left-hand side. We need someone who can play on the right-hand side.
That's where we were lacking.
That's what we need this season. We need that pace on the right-hand side, and that's what they've identified. And as we said there, this can't become a saga. I don't think Everton can afford any sagas this season. No. Things that you've got your target, you know what you want. Leeds are probably going to be willing to sell. Get your price, because we're in the middle of what looks like a saga from the outside with Branthwaite. So everyone else, it looks like a saga to us. It's just like it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
To us, it's just like we know what we've told Man United what we, what
talk to the hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Until it starts with a 7.
Exactly.
To the hand,
So we don't want that ourselves. If Leeds have got a price for them and it's come down massively from last year,
and it doesn't agree with ours,
and we know they're playing hardball. We know from last season. Okay, things are slightly different last season. The second year, if they don't come up this year, they're in real trouble. Parachute payments and everything else, and what they leveraged, I imagine, to get up last season as well. So they'd be in real trouble.
It's very win-lose, wasn't it, coming straight back? And they're on the lost side of that, unfortunately, for them. Yeah. And
they would have thought, we've got a real chance here.
And you've got to think with this player, one of the ways they calmed him down was, you're not going because we're going straight back to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Look at Jack Harrison. He went out on loan and presumably hoped that Leeds would come back and he'd go back to Leeds. And they haven't, so he's on loan again, right? And so Gnonto was presumably on a promise.
Very much so, yeah.
And it's almost like a release clause type of thing, isn't it? And if we've activated it, it should just be a matter of turning the handle over, notwithstanding, if you are right, that we require, outgoings to fund it. But it's pretty damn certain on us going.
And they've got to be careful. I think Leeds would have to be careful because
if their season starts earlier,
if they didn't sell him this summer, and they didn't get up, he'd be worth what? I think he'd have 2 years left on a deal.
It'd go down again.
He'd be worth buttons. So this is really the peak year. And as I said, if Everton are prepared to pay what they want, which if it is around 22 million, then I think that sounds right for a 20-year-old.
They'll undoubtedly, if I'm Leeds, there's add-ons in that or sell-ons or whatever, right? But the base deal at 22, I mean, that's all right.
That sounds,
this day and age, that's not a lot. We know he can do it in the Premier League because we've seen it. Full international for Italy, so he's no numpty. Probably will become a full international as soon as he gets back in the Premier League. Yeah. Because they're rebuilding and they're going to rebuild with youth. Yeah. And therefore his value will go up for us, which is great. Leeds, what you really want is a sell-on. You don't want add-ons. You want to sell on. Yeah. Because if he burns in our team at the age of 22, he's going to be worth a few bob, isn't he? So.
That's it. If he does well in the Premier League, I mean, we've seen him already, but what would he have been in the Premier League? 18, 19? Yeah,
nothing.
So now being 20, moving into, if he gets to like 22, 23, and he is doing well, and
he's not even near pre-prime yet.
No, he's not near anything, is he? He's not near anything.
That's right. So there's plenty of ceiling there to gravitate up to, isn't there? Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorted then.
Yeah. Just get it. Just get it done. I mean, again, I don't think this is it hasn't just emerged in the last 24 hours. Clearly, Everton have been probably talking to Leeds for well over a week.
The stuff we heard a week or two ago is just getting closer to people who repeat it, I suppose. Yeah. And mainstream journalists talk about these things when it's really real, sort of thing.
Yeah, which is good because every time someone leaves us, it seems to just get done. Like Onana, okay, yes, loads of smoke about him leaving. Of course, we already knew that, but the Villa thing came from in terms of it was done over the weekend. It just seemed to be Ornstein on a Friday or whatever it was. He's going to Villa and that's it. And I know it hasn't been officially done, but everyone expects it to be done in the next 24 hours or whatever. I think he had his medical yesterday.
Amadou's probably looked up where Aston Villa is. Give David Unsworth a quick call.
Yeah, of course.
Sort of thing. But all he needed to know was they're in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And he likes the manager.
And it's a stepping stone,
isn't it? It's refreshing for him, isn't it? The manager, if you like, Emery as a manager versus Sean as a manager. Bit chalk and cheese there, but both passionate anyway, but in different ways.
But listen, one's a world-class manager. That's the difference. I mean, I've seen a few again, people just looking around, engaging different reactions and, people.
He's found the right club, hasn't he, Emery?
Yeah, I think so. I think it upsets people what Villa have done in the last 2 years compared to what we've done. I think the difference.
Missed opportunity, that's why.
I think the difference with Villa is, though, when they stayed up, they had very, very wealthy owners who went out when I think we should have sacked Frank Lampard at the same time they sacked
I think Baz is on that as well.
Steven Gerrard. I think we should have sacked him there before that window ahead of the World Cup. That's 6 weeks, before we came back. But they had the pulling power because financially we were in a really good position to go and get someone that I think is one of the top managers in the world. And they got him, and they've let him take over the club, basically, top to bottom.
Yeah.
Now got Champions League. And he, like you just said there, Sean Dyche is a manager who inherited Onana. So therefore, if he doesn't like him, which I think he's already illustrated, he doesn't really like him, which is weird considering the kind of footballer he is. This manager does like him. This manager wants him and wants to make him part of his Champions League setup. He's already sold Douglas Luiz, so there is a spot there in the first team. And it's another stepping stone for Onana. And whatever you think about Onana, it is the way he's his career has gone so far, it's just little stepping stones. And this might be another little stepping stone for something bigger, who knows?
Yeah, Villa are like others. They get one season in the Champions League and then the so-called big clubs revert to standard and they take the places. I mean, me and Baz talked about it briefly yesterday. I mean, Villa need to go deep to improve the coefficient to make it easier for them to get in it next time, i.e. we need 5 places type of thing. But if they just do the one season and he's performed, then he'll go somewhere else then. I was talking about there about what Leeds should do. I hope to goodness that we are doing a mixture of add-ons plus sell-ons, because he will go somewhere big at some stage if he keeps progressing. He really will. And you talk about Luiz going out of Villa, that set the value for that type of player, and Villa are paying more for the replacement than they played for a more established, proven player. I know he's gone to a different league where maybe they have less money and all that sort of stuff, but that alone sets that our price isn't as bad as we think it is as Everton fans. But I think it'll end up being up to 60 anyway. And let's hope there's a sell-on in there, a modest sell-on, because we've done it so quick, and we as fans perceive it to be a bit low on the base side. Maybe we're just gambling on the upside, which is, I don't think is a huge gamble.
Maybe there's just might be no real more interest.
Well, that's the point. If there's only one club interested, then that impacts the price.
And if Everton need to sell, they decided not to sell quickly for PSR. The fire sale,
the alleged fire,
as we were told. You
and Sam sorted that out.
Yeah, absolutely. We sorted out between us.
It's worth watching. It's still there. It's still worth watching. Actually, it's quite good.
But it's well, I might get him back on just to see how he thinks. Yeah. But
he's a Man United fan, isn't he?
I don't know.
No, it's not him who's the Man United. Who's the Man United fan who's on the radio? No, he's not a Man United fan.
Could be anyone.
Sam's not a Man United fan.
No.
I was going to say, you could ask about Branthwaite if he was. Yeah.
Well, just ask him why he hasn't been sold yet.
Yeah.
No, but Villa have done it the right way. That's the way you should. Yeah. They are. Douglas Luiz is a player that their fans really like, but they've basically gone, well, we need the money for you. You go somewhere that'll get us the money. We get some players out of that as well. And we already have identified...
And our PSR's better.
Yeah, and we've identified your replacement, who's played in the Premier League for the last 2 years and is ready for the next step.
Yeah.
And what they're doing quietly is... And they'll be learning off the back
of... young.
Yeah, and they'll be learning off the back of what Newcastle have done as well. So in many ways, we have to learn off the back of what these teams have done. And I know what it looks like right now is miles away. It all started by selling Jack Grealish for 100 million.
Yes, of course.
And then you
funded that.
Funds the next step, and then the next step. And don't get me wrong, people could go, well, you're Jack Grealish's Jared Branthwaite
next year.
But it could be, but only if someone pay. That's the point, isn't it? If you pay what we want, then maybe Jared Branthwaite might be Jack Grealish. It might be the kickstart, but maybe Onana is, and that's what the market we've set down is. We're quite comfortable with 50 because it allows us to bring in the next set of players, and then those set of players might allow us to release other players because we've just filled their positions. That's the modern way, isn't it? When you're number one, if you haven't got bags and bags of money, not that matters, but also just to satisfy that PSR.
Absolutely, and if we talked on the chat many times, I suppose, because we do it all day, every day. And one of the things that used to continue to pain me would be when our director of football would talk publicly about we can't do planning because of the financial situation, can't look too far ahead and so on. And I think they are they, being Kevin and his team, are in the right way demonstrating that we might have been right on that, because to me, I'd love to believe and all the indicators are this is exactly what is happening, that they've sat down with a plan for summer window 24-25, which is fundamentally funded by the sale of Onana, and they already have an outline plan minimally to do the same again in 25-26 with a big sale, which may or may not be Jared Branthwaite.
Yeah.
And they know where the money's going.
Yeah.
I mean, in positions, clearly the players themselves might vary right up to the last minute, depending on who your manager is, how you've done in the season that's just finished, are you in Europe or not, all that sort of stuff. But if they've got a 2-summer window plan and they've started this one really well, then all the noise about whether they do a good job or not will go away.
It's trust in the process, isn't it?
Totally.
But we've not been in that position as a fan base to trust the process. If you're a Villa fan, if that's what we're talking about, you 100% trust the process,
Because what's happened in the past worked.
because everything you've seen so far has worked,
working.
hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's worked, you know. And certainly under this manager, and we as a fan base, we're not quite there yet, because we're obviously distrustful of, because we're still owned by a man that none of us trust, really, because of what's happened. We've got the echoes of what's gone before. Kevin Felwell hasn't been able to do his own job so far, and it is
the right way to say it.
Yeah, well, he's just getting... Really, Kevin Felwell is just starting the process of doing his way, really. Just sort of taking one hand from behind his back. And I said this when we had Marcel Brands, is that I never thought you could make any kind of definitive assessments of the job he did at Everton, because none of us knew what he was allowed to do and what he wasn't allowed to. I mean, let's take, we're not privy to what goes on behind closed doors, but I think the Rafa Benitez situation was the biggest alarm bell of... He was essentially, when Rafa Benitez came in, he was essentially on gardening leave. He basically said it himself. He said he's come out since. He said, as soon as he came in, my job was gone. I just had to sit there, enjoy the West Kirby cafes and restaurants, and the nice restaurants of Liverpool city centre, and couldn't do very, very, very,
when a
very
director of football goes to the yacht of a man who has no official impact on the club whatsoever,
yeah,
with a big fat folder that shows all the research he's done to determine who his recommendation is for the next manager.
Yeah.
And the owner of the yacht says, you must be very happy because your new manager's here. And has been for 2 days.
Yeah.
He knew his job was gone then because you're not listening to me. Right? And he'd already gone through the let me do my job bit, which is why he extended. And the first chance he had an opportunity to do his job, they didn't let him do it. Yeah. So that's history now.
Yeah, yeah.
But all we ask, and I've said it on here in recent weeks, and I'm going to keep saying it until there's reason not to say it, which is it's refreshing to see people being allowed to do their jobs. And then they stand or fall by how well they do.
Yeah, exactly,
rather than some puppet master over here going, I hear what you say, but I want Benitez as the manager.
Yeah, yeah.
And Marcel still gets interviewed and talks about what it was like here and how Bill would sit in on, planning meetings and stuff like that. And of course, for many reasons, those people are not doing that anymore. So Kevin can now prove how good he is. Yeah. And him and his team will get the plaudits if we do good business, and they'll get a bit of criticism if we don't.
Well, that's it. You can actually point fingers now, rather than going, well, whose fault is it?
And if the ownership changes, and the owner goes, Kev, I'm going to have a word. Your plan needs to be redone. Yeah. You've got more money.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? That's the golden thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stick to your principles, but you've got more money and a bigger pool to play in.
Absolutely.
That's all you can ask for, isn't it?
And then we as a fan base won't mind, and this is what I think you're alluding to with Villa, really. We won't mind if an alleged irreplaceable player is allowed to go, because we will have trust that whoever's been brought in already or will be brought in as a consequence will mean the team itself won't be worse, probably will be better. And we may have to recognise that a couple of years down the track we're going to do that again. But there'll come a point when we, the fans, can see on the horizon that window about to open and go, you know what, this is the season we don't have to do that because we're in Europe or we're in the Champions League or God knows what.
It's dead simple, isn't it? It's dead simple. If you buy...
Talking it's easy.
No, but it's dead... What I mean is, it's dead simple. If you buy better players, you will have a better team.
Yes.
And then it's down to the manager. I think we do have a manager right
You
now.
have the potential for a better team.
Yeah, but
and the
I was going to
manager
say,
then
you've got
has
a
to
manager then who has to mould them. And I think we've got a manager right now who I think can get more out of a team. It's never going to be the top level. I think, we're going to be talking about Gareth Southgate on more than a game at 2 o'clock. And I think it's sort of similar.
Yeah.
You do get to. I still think there's a little bit of ceiling with Sean Dyche in terms of
That's good.
where I think there is a little bit more of a ceiling anyway.
But that's good, because that means he's not at it yet.
Yeah.
So he can mature and get better as a manager, which happens automatically if you give him better players. But as we will on More Than a Game talks, you can have your choice of all the best players in the country and still play the wrong way.
Exactly.
But yeah, so let's find the limits of the manager, and if we never find them, that's good again, isn't it?
Steve Kelly says Gnonto is 5 goals behind McNeil in his whole career, 4 years younger and a lot less games.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good start, isn't it? That's a good start. Stephen Lee says.
But McNeil's are all in the Premier League.
Yeah. He says, did I hear right? Rumours on James Rodriguez possibly returning, or is that just rubbish? I think that would be
Just rubbish.
just rubbish. I think there was a few excited people over the weekend because he did a little thing with Everton.
He's a tease.
Yeah, and he does want to come back to Europe apparently, and there will be people who look at him because of what he's done in the Copa America.
The talent's never going to go
Yeah,
away.
he got played the tournament, didn't he? Even though he was on the losing end of the final. But unbelievable footballer, unbelievable. Yeah, would I have him back?
Yes.
In the right circumstances, 100%. I'd have him back in the right circumstances. He's the kind of player I'd say to him, do you want to play in Europe? Do you want to play in the Premier League? Well, yeah, mate, you can come, but do you know how much money you got off us the first time? Well,
It's not happening this
not
time.
happening this time, but come and you can play.
You can have December off.
Yeah, well, you can have your number 10 shirt and you can come and play but it's not, you're not going to be on massive wages. That's what I'd say to someone
You'll
like
score
that.
10 league goals, you'll get 10 assists, and we'll all be very, very happy.
Be fantastic. Yeah, I'd love to see him in it. I'd love to see him in an Everton shirt, but
Because we never saw him. Yeah.
not on
Yeah.
the money he was on. Not a chance on earth.
How much do you think he was on?
Well, very close to silly numbers.
No, give us a number.
Well, 200,000.
200,000
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah.
He's not worth it.
Was he worth it? No. That's Champions League money. You're only worth what the club can get out of you. The club couldn't get £200,000 a week out of him. Another club might have been able to. What can you market him? What can you do with him? What does he?
But a £25 million player over 5 years costs us £100,000 a week in amortisation of the transfer fee alone. If you pay them a modest £50,000 a week,
But it's actual cash though, isn't it?
No, but if you pay them a modest £50,000 a week, then it's £150,000.
Oh, I appreciate all that, but it's actually finding £200,000 a week, isn't it, for a club like Everton to actually give it to someone, and they have to play, and they can't dictate, and they can't just go, I don't feel like I can play today.
That's why you're right with you're not getting what you got last time, and whatever. But I'm sure if you wanted to, perhaps this is what I'm saying really, the finances can be made to stand up if the player in question will commit to almost, let's call it pay-as-you-play type contract, i.e. you're not getting a guarantee that allows you to put your feet up and say, I think my ankle's hurting.
I tell you what, right, if you got James Rodriguez and you're
going to do something crazy if he comes, are you?
No, if you had James Rodriguez, right, and you had Ryan Reynolds as your marketing manager, then he'd be worth the money. Because
maybe he'll go to Wrexham then.
That fella would know how to market him and how to earn the money back. He'd do something mad in South America with them, or
sell a lot of shirts.
Yeah, or just build a whole tour around them in America.
10.
Yeah, be Rodriguez 10. It'd have to be number 10. He'd have to
tell Castore to do an away kit that's similar colour.
Yeah, yellow away kit. Yeah, like PSG did when they bought Neymar. They had a gold Brazil coloured yellow away kit. They weren't stupid. No, there is a way. There's a way to, if you buy a player like that, any player, there's a way. That's why when Miami was so adamant on getting Messi and went through, they brought in, they made sure that obviously Adidas were already there, or already part of the MLS, but they had Adidas and Apple chipping
falling
in.
over themselves.
Well, they had them chipping in. Apple paid a chunk of that change.
Apple Plus TV. Well, yes, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, they paid a chunk of change to make sure Messi came because of all the add-ons from all the sign-ups. Messi gets a percentage of every sign-up and all these things.
And he gets an MLS club as well, eventually, doesn't he?
Yeah, if he wants one. Like Beckham did. So there are ways and means, and of course it can elevate your football club, but you can't just give someone £200,000 and just say, nah, you don't have to train if you don't want to. I mean, the lad missed the last game of the season. And there's pictures of him lying on a bed in a private jet. I mean, stuff like that doesn't go down well with Evertonians.
That's what goes with the talent. Yeah.
No, it does. But when you get beat 5-0 at Manchester City, and your star player is lying in a bed on a.
Well, that's why if you do the deal and you're trying to get the numbers right and you're trying to do this, that, and the other, and you say to the manager, but you won't have him for December because he likes to have December off, and he won't play if it's raining, sort of thing.
What they could have done is they could have approached someone like James Rodriguez and then approached someone like Netflix or Amazon and said, do you want to do a documentary? Do you want to do a documentary? No door is closed here. Documentary about
his return.
Well, Everton's last season at Goodison Park and Everton's first season.
Well, there must be one of
stadium.
them going to happen anyway.
Well, listen, but imagine that same role, and also you get exclusive.
They're not doing it no more, though, are they?
The Witch.
Do you think? Well, it's Amazon and Netflix are the two biggies, aren't they?
Well,
and Apple are in there, but not so long ago, if you were Tottenham, you'd be guaranteed like 10 million quid or something, wouldn't you? We had over 10 million. We've accessed all areas. I don't think that's happening anymore. I think there's been a bit of a glut of all these things, hasn't there? So they can't all be getting 10 million.
Well, I think
have we missed the boat, or are we the jewel?
Maybe we've missed the boat, but I still think that Everton leaving the stadium should be enough pull for someone to do it.
I know
loads. One started on Netflix yesterday. It was basically La Liga all access. So it's a league.
Yeah,
thing.
I've got it on my next up thing. Yeah,
so it's more of a. Put it in
our WhatsApp group.
And I think more and more. That's what you'll see more and more.
The league
is a league where you can just flash between.
What's going on?
And I've just been watching the Tour de France one, and that's very much the same. You can tell, and it's the same with the Formula one.
Try to survive, isn't it?
Basically, it's we film everything. And you're all in, and then when stuff happens,
we've got it.
We'll cut it together, because you go. I was watching the Tour de France one, and I was like, how did they happen to be filming them on the day that thing happened? Do you know what I mean? But they film everything, don't they? And
that's what made Drive to Survive so amazing, because they spend a whole year, as you say, they do all the stock stuff of interviewing all the drivers, and then they edit it together in what's happening in the current season, so you see it at the same time.
Well, they put it out at the start, don't they? To hook you in. It
becomes part of the marketing for the forthcoming season and stuff, and it makes superstars of people.
It does. One of the reasons I know loads of people's names in Tour de France.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And I know who to hate, I know who to like. Because you go, don't really.
So the Premier League one must come out eventually. You
think so, wouldn't you? If everyone goes, we'll give you an extra thing.
But you don't see a behind the scenes at Red Bull, do you? Or behind the scenes at Mercedes, because as soon as the league do one, all the individual club ones are gone, aren't they?
Well, it'll evolve, won't it? I think all those companies are going to start going into live sports anyway.
Yeah,
it's the only way to keep people
engaged.
We can.
That's why I say maybe our season, or if we are the one who gets the big fat 10 mil or whatever it turns out to be, guaranteed, so on, then maybe that'll be the last of that type.
Maybe, yeah. Because that's the difference, isn't it? The difference with live sport and normal TV.
That might be the foothills for Premier League of doing something collectively, of thinking, you know what, actually, well, you get the treacherous six saying we should get more than the others, wouldn't you? But it's the NFL approaches in the foothills then, isn't it? Of, well, why not have all the kits done by one business? Why not do this?
There is talk of that, isn't there? I've heard that recently as well, of saying everything should be one kit maker and do it the UEFA way with having a collection of sponsors. So like the Champions League, you buy in for the entire thing.
The whole tournament,
the whole thing is sponsored. Every every team has one of these big sponsors. It can happen.
La Liga might regret letting the TV cameras in, because the Premier League one will get a lot more money, and it reaffirms the strength of the Premier League.
But that's La Liga saying to them. That's La Liga saying, isn't like what you've just said.
Trying to counterbrand, yeah.
Well, it's personalities as well, isn't it? Because people watch all. See, this is why I think Everton should do it. Is because
I undoubtedly they will.
Because
surely
I watch these things all the time, and the people stick with me. I've just watched the Tour de France, and I know. Listen, there's loads of people obviously racing the Tour de France, but I know who the big names are, and I know who I'm looking for, those personalities. And it's the same with...
Made you a cycling fan?
Well, it does. When
I watched you watching Cavendish get his record break. You probably only do that when you're on the Lower Gladys.
Yeah.
You jumped up and were like, yes!
I know the fella. I feel like I know the fella.
He's your
But
mate.
that's where Everton would be should do a documentary, because people do watch all of them. Like, I'll watch that Spanish one, and there'll be people that I'll go, I like him, and
Don't like him.
There was another Spanish one a few years ago, and I remember loads of people from that, and you remember them during the career then, and you might pay more attention to them, or a certain club, or it opens up the... I think that's where Everton need to do one, because you do find the heroes and the villains of a football club or a league. Or
people you thought were numpties turn out to be great, and people you thought were great turn out to be numpties.
Look at the Wrexham one. The Wrexham one's the biggest indicator. Yeah. You know, these people are all household names, and they're basically, some of them are League Two journeymen. You know, Ollie Palmer has become a big... He's like... If he'd made a different choice in life, he would be a League Two journeyman footballer, changing his club every other year, basically. But he's not. He's bloody got a clothesline. He's in the new Deadpool Wolverine film. People know him all around the world. You know, that documentary is just incredible. What it's done for that profile.
Shows the art of the possible.
It does. It really does. It really, really does. And if Everton had something like that,
let's say when.
I don't know, mate. Not with this club. I really don't. If someone hasn't got the foresight to go, just open those doors, because we can make all these. Let's show the why is it emotional?
Why are we different? Because we claim we are.
Yeah. Why? Not only why is it important that it's the last season of Goodison, but what are we taking with us to the? What are we saying to people about the new?
You see, years ago, and I can do this because it doesn't compromise anything today, if you will. You know, I used to advocate to Robert Elston. You know, he'd say, well, things are getting better. You know, we talk about running of the club and all that, you believe it or not. I said, yeah, but it's still so stereotypical of what we expect from our football club.
Yeah.
What you need to do is to find something to do which the average fan like me goes, wow, I never thought they'd do that.
Yeah.
Imagine if we announced tomorrow, whenever, there's an access all areas, Apple, whoever it is, are going to be behind. They're going to be in everyone's face for the next year, and they're going to document the whole of the fan experience if they choose to do it fan side, or club concerns if you do it, you know, inside looking out. I hope they do both. I hope they find a relatively small-ish, intimate to me by that, you know, production company to do the fan story, and then a big corporate entity to do the club story, and the two stories meld together as one, right? Because more than a club and all that soundbitey type stuff, we think we live and breathe that, don't we? Once Everton has touched you, and all that sort of stuff, and that's just be awesome. But you, and I'm with you, probably the viewers are the same, you can't see this club at this time being bold enough to allow that.
There's no evidence.
Well, no, but they could be doing it as we speak.
No, they could be, but there's no evidence to suggest that.
Which is why when we get the wow moment, if it's a Me Too thing, you just shrug and say, no, you're just doing what Tottenham did, or you're just doing what City did. But if it was something different and really brave in the sense of, I mean, that's why Julia's thing was a start of that, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, there was some wobbles during that, because it became more than they thought it was going to be. But then they still had the balls to let it go out, per se. And it turned out to be fab. Right? And we can more of that.
Yeah.
And we will all buy it.
Football's unpredictable, and the story of Everton leaving one stadium, but not just leaving one stadium, but moving into another stadium.
Nobody does it.
I think that's the big thing, is that.
Really? Not like
is that nobody, I mean, it's going to be so far and few between. Most clubs in new stadiums, who are Manchester United, are the last sort of big club who would be looking to move. Okay, there's other clubs who will be looking to move, but they haven't got the rich history that we've got of leaving one ground.
No.
And also have carried that kind of ground for 30 plus years in the Premier League as well. So it's a recognisable ground within the Premier League and around the world. And obviously for younger people, they'll see it in things like FIFA, EA 24, that kind of thing. It's a big opportunity, and I think you've got to just open the
Well,
doors.
we know the appetite, right? Because we get contact. Oh, it's normally me who picks it
Yeah,
up,
I've got
right?
one today. I've got one today.
You've seen another one, yeah? Is that the one about 777 you've seen?
No, I'm saying I've got an email today about a documentary about
Oh,
about
yeah, I saw
Goodison.
that one, yeah. But so we've had one about 777, someone's doing a documentary on that. And then last week it was a Dutch production company doing one for the equivalent of the Dutch version of PBC 2, where they're doing a small mini-series, and one of the episodes is going to be on Everton. And it's all about the fact that we're leaving Goodison.
Yeah.
We've been here way over 100 years, right? We're the only club that builds new stadiums in this city, and we're moving to a third one. You know, and it's an iconic location, blah, de, blah, de, blah. And when I speak to the researchers, they already, the Dutch one I'm using as an example, the lady already believes the narrative that if you're from Liverpool, you support Everton.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to come out in their story.
Yeah. We get an opportunity to tell our story.
Yeah, absolutely.
When most of the time we are airbrushed out of history.
Yeah.
By the de facto of being called Everton.
Listen, Castori aren't paying through the nose, right? For
Don't know, John. I've seen the prices.
well, yeah, but that's because they're not going to sell a lot as well. But the size of the kit deal we've got has got as much to do with us the last season at Goodison as anything. And well done to the club for getting a good deal. Hopefully you've got some kickers in it as well. And if the downside of that is, A, there's got to be a good relationship between Fanatics and Castori to make sure they shift the units. And Castori see themselves perhaps more as a leisure than a sports brand, therefore there's a bit of premium on the pricing and so on, and we'll all bitch and whinge about it. But if they pitch it right, we'll buy it though, won't we?
Maybe.
Well, we will.
Well, if it's
at least some of it. Yeah.
Maybe.
That's why I say if they pitch it right, we'll buy it. But this is better value.
Yeah, our stuff's better value.
In fact, we should ask our audience what sort of stuff we should make. Yeah.
No, but it's, I mean, as I said, it's all there, isn't it? It's all there. It's whether you want to grasp the metal, and going back to the original point,
Be bold.
If it was return of someone like James Rodriguez from the original question, then that can almost be your starting point. Not, but
Current leadership and future ownership shouldn't say, what would Everton do? They should say, what wouldn't Everton do? And let's do it because they wouldn't. Because we've got to change the narrative around our football club.
Exactly.
We've been beaten down over the last 2 or 3 years, and it's like a spring in it. Our fan base is just waiting for any bloody excuse to go ape for positive reasons rather than trying to hold us in the league, So the last season should be tremendous. And the first season at the Everton Stadium should also be tremendous. Yeah. We cracked those 2 seasons.
Yeah.
The rest of it is just going to be a journey.
That's it.
It's going to be a mega journey.
And you've got an opportunity. Everton have got a massive opportunity with the new stadium for a reset and also to bring in a huge amount of new fans from around the world.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and the fans, rest assured, anyone who's listening, we the fans will do our bit. That stadium will have the best atmosphere, certainly that this city's ever seen, right? And maybe this country.
Yeah.
And that's incumbent on us. Dan Meese has provided the environment, and Lang O'Rourke, who built it, and the people who argued about how many rail seats should be in or how steep the stands were going to be and compromising cost even to get proximity and all those sorts of things. It all leads to there's a bowl that can petrify the biggest of clubs when they come here. And our bit then is to use it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we'll do that.
And be ready for it.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
And also, well, I mean, just sell the stories of the people who are going into it as well.
Oh, absolutely.
That's another big thing. Yeah. But we'll just have to wait and see whether
we will
whether that happens or not. Let's just have a look at some of the comments before we finish. We will be talking about Gareth Southgate resigning on more than a game.
Well done him, by the way. Right thing to do.
We'll be talking about that at 2:00. Benny says, why not just approach Amazon? Crimson says Amazon, Netflix, HBO. Someone would do a documentary in Everton. Someone at the club is just
guaranteed.
Them. Yeah,
it's happening. It's just who with and which way it's being done. And I think there's scope, as I said before, for multiple things to come out about this last season from different angles.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just open the doors. Don't, worry about... We've just been having a conversation, me, Baz and Ned, about filming stuff today. If you don't film it, you haven't got it. Film everything, and then we'll decide in the edit what works and what doesn't work. But like you were saying before about those other ones, you film everything, and then the story might come from somewhere
You can't have too much content.
No, the story might come from somewhere you didn't expect it. So if people start putting blockers on what can be filmed and what can't be filmed,
no.
At the end of the day, this stuff doesn't come out till maybe 6, 7, 8 months, 12 months down the line, where the story's not current. If there's a problem with the player or the manager, whatever, by the time it comes out, it might be old news, but you just get to see behind it. Just be brave enough to
trust.
Yeah.
I mean, the downside, which perhaps is why we haven't done one already, because how fab would it have been for the Amazon one, use them as an example, to have done the last couple of seasons, or one of them, is the fear of how either individuals themselves will be portrayed. Clearly a Baxendale or a Bill Kenwright and so on, they just did not have it in their DNA to say to Amazon, come in, film everything you want and edit it how you like. Yeah. But you've got to trust that they're an international brand who are not going to assassinate individuals. And if you're not confident enough in your own skin to know you're not going to drop yourself in it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say then. If your first instinct is I'm terrified of these cameras, then you shouldn't be working.
Absolutely right.
You shouldn't be here. You should not be here, because you already think you've already got worries that you're not the right person for the job.
Absolutely right.
Or what will be shown shows a very poorly run football club.
No Everton fan is surprised we haven't had one already.
No, of course they're not.
So surprise us by announcing that there is one. Yeah.
To me,
don't do it yourself, Everton.
No, don't do it yourself.
Get a third party to do it.
If you want to do it yourself, bring in a production company that you allow
to film everything. And you have control over the edit.
And then you sell it to somebody else.
Absolutely.
But you can't have people at the football club filming it, because you've got personal relationships with people that you might have to look at every day and go, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to film that. If you have people on the outside who are just pointing cameras,
you let them in, they film everything, and if you're cautious, have control over the edit. But if you edit it to make everyone look wonderful and smiley and everything like that, you won't.
Don't work.
You won't get the money.
It don't work. There was a Newcastle one, which
with Staveley,
and everybody said the same thing.
She's gone now, isn't she?
It's club manipulated.
Oh, so obvious.
And therefore, no one wants to. No one watched it. No one wants to watch it. What you need is like the Arsenal where Arteta's having meltdowns.
Yeah.
And he's going, you're seeing all this stupid stuff, and you go, this is a bit cringing. But the results are that he gets the results at the end of it.
Yeah. And real people inside the game know that happens in every club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as you don't make them look stupid.
Dave says, isn't Freakin a producer?
Yeah. That's called money. Yeah.
Yeah, he could produce it.
But I mean, he and his businesses are all about building memories.
Yeah.
Well, there's a big memory being built for every single Evertonian on the planet, including those who don't know they're Evertonians yet. Yeah. And it's going to start at the beginning of August. It's going to finish next May.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Right, we're going over to More Than a Game. I'm not sure whether Ned's put the magic link in. He should have.
Oh, no.
He should have, but I'm not sure if he hasn't. Just head over to More Than a Game. You all know where it is. You should all be subscribed. Josh, you're going to press that stop button now. So thanks for everyone for watching. We're going to head over 2 o'clock in a minute.
See you on the other side.
Bye.
Take care.